You're in the pterodactyl portion of the dinosaur exhibit. A fairly accurate model of Struthiomimus or ostrich mimic. This room contains a marvelous dinosaur exhibit. A fine painting of a mighty Brontosaurus, the thunder lizard. This huge creature with its tiny brain is currently the subject of a controversy. Dr. Earl Douglas from the Carnegie Museum of Natural History believes that current Brontosaurus displays have the wrong heads mounted on their skeletons. However, Dr. Othniel Marsh, who originally discovered the Brontosaurus, believes that the heads on current displays are correct. Only time and more fossil evidence will conclusively prove which of these esteemed gentlemen is correct. The fabric of the shirt appears to be clinging somewhat to Ernie's chest. The hairs are bristled and clearly animal in origin, with a faint smell of alcohol. You pick it up and place it in your purse.
Ach, you are smelling like the brewery, mein Kapitan. Either you've been drinking, or you've been eating too many of those grapes.
Sure and begorra. A man needs a little nip from his flask now and then, doesn't he?
Personally, I do not require the drinking of the alcohol. It would impair my mental and physical skills.
Ernie Leach has been murdered!
What was that, lass?
Ernie is dead!
So, you finally come to us to confess, is that it?
Confess? No! I'm reporting a murder!
And you was the first one to find the body again?
Well, I guess so.
Quite a coincidence, Fräulein. I think we should be interrogating you to learn the truth! I've had enough of your lies!
Calm down, Heimlich. If there's any interrogating to be done, I'll be the one who does it. Now then, lass, where did you find the body?
The mastodon room. He's hanging from some mastodon tusks.
Ach, he's probably just sleeping on the job.
No, I'm sure he's dead.
Well, I'll go take a look at him then. If I need to talk to you, I'll find you later.
You're doing a fine job, Laura. A close look reveals that this is, in fact, a large button on the wall. When you push the button, you hear a sliding noise off in the distance, clearly originating outside of this room. My Ernie, he was a wonderful man. I really loved him.
Oh, sure you did. I know your type, Yvette. I know you didn't really love him.
But I did. Ernie was the first man I've ever really loved. I was even trying to find work for him so he could make the extra money.
Why did he need extra money? He had a good job here, didn't he?
It was the gambling. The ice pick. He killed my Ernie for the gambling debts.
Ernie wasn't killed with an ice pick.
No, the ice pick is the... how do you say it? The lone fish.
Lone fish? Oh, you mean ice pick is the name of a lone shark?
Oui, the ice pick is an evil man.
You're sure he's the one who killed Ernie?
My Ernie, he was worried about the ice pick. He told me about him this evening.
Very curious. I'm surprised you had time to see Ernie tonight.
Why is that?
Because you've been spending so much time with Mr. Dorian.
Oh, you mean the Steve? He is the attractive man, but we are only the friends, no? But my Ernie, what will I do without him?
I can see you're upset. I'll leave you alone. Steve! Mr. Dorian.
Miss Bow.
Thank you for showing me your scars, Steve. They were very, very nice.
Haven't seen you in a while, Mr. Dorian.
Well, women keep carrying me off.
Carrying you off?
Yeah. First, Miss Delacroix pulled me away from the party to show me the old Masters Gallery. Then there was Dr. Miklos. She's been pestering me about my scars ever since she found out I worked on the docks. Weird lady.
You don't seem too upset by all the attention.
Well, I would rather have spent the time with you.
I'd think a big, strong man like you would have been able to get away from them if you wanted to do so.
Well, I hate to be rude, and I did end up finding you here.
Have you heard about the murders?
Murders? Oh, I guess somebody did mention that.
You seem kind of distracted.
Yeah, well, I've got news for you, too. I think some of the paintings in the old Masters Gallery are forgeries. The paint is still wet on some of them.
Yes, well, I hardly think that...
Oh, Steve, a terrible thing has happened. Ernie is dead.
Ernie?
Yes, my Ernie. What will I do? Oh, I need a big man to cry on. Please, come into my office.
Sorry, Miss Bow. The poor woman seems very upset. Maybe there's something I can do for her.
I can just guess what that is.
We can talk more later, okay?
We'll see about that.
You hear muffled voices coming through the door to Yvette's office. Ooh la la.
How does that feel?
It is magnifique. Mmm.
I'm not rubbing too hard, am I?
The harder the better, mon ami.
Well, we all get a little stiff now and then.
Ooh, and you are so good at working out the kinks. Mmm.
Would you mind not moaning so loud? You might draw attention.
Ooh, I cannot be helping it. You are so big and so strong. Mmm.
Oh my.
Oh, dear!
Miss Bow,
Sacré bleu.
I can explain this.
I bet you can, Mr. Dorian.
I'm just rubbing her neck.
Oui, and he does it so well.
I'll just leave you two alone.
Miss Bow, wait!
You pick it up and place it in your purse. Since the floor is an odd location for a desk lamp, and since other desk items have been disturbed, you conclude that the lamp was knocked down during some sort of physical activity that took place on the desk. The chair is made of wood, and it smells like Yvette's perfume. The typewriter keys hold fingerprints that probably belong to Yvette. Assorted garbage fills the wastebasket. Pencil shavings, torn typing paper, fingernail clippings, carbon paper, and apple core, and an empty bottle of French champagne. Upon close inspection, you see nothing new here. Upon close inspection, a close look seems to indicate that the red hairs belong to a human. Feels like red hair. That's not the... Nice weave in the hardened fabric of the dress. There are a few scratches on Yvette's skin, as if she was in a struggle before she died. Definitely red hairs, probably human. You pick it up and place it in your purse. Don't touch it. Don't touch. You pick it up and place it in your purse. You pick it up and place it in your purse. The blood is red and almost dry. There seems to have been a struggle here. The blood is
Countess, why are you tied up on my desk? Your face has certainly changed to an attractive pale color, my dear. You seem a little under the weather. Are you okay? Oh dear, you don't look well at all. O'Reilly! You want Mr. O'Reilly? Okay, just wait right here and I'll go get him. Hello, Miss Bo. Do you know where Mr. O'Reilly is?
Well, no, not exactly. I assume he's still in the museum.
Well, I'll find him. If you see him first, would you tell him that the Countess is dying on the desk in my office?
The Countess is dying? What's wrong with her?
Well, she's looking rather pale. Her eyes are glazed, and she's not breathing much. I'd guessed she'd been bitten by a snake.
By a snake?
Must you keep repeating everything I say? In any case, I've got to go now.
A full bottle of Dr. Moribund's guaranteed snake oil. You detect a trickle of what could prove to be cobra venom. You deem it wise not to touch it when you remember that it's a neurotoxin that causes progressive paralysis leading to respiratory failure. That biology class was useful after all. You pick it up and place it in your purse. They seem to be ordinary table grapes, nice and ripe. You pick it up and place it in your purse. So far so good. Keep it up.
Countess, why are you old you Hello, Miss Bo. Where ma
That would get you nowhere. You pick it up. You detect a They seem to... You pick it up. Don't touch it. So far so good. Keep it up. You don't want to hide in here. The memory of Pippin's dead body and the blood all over the inside of the case convince you to look elsewhere. You hear the sound of someone breaking down a door in the next room. While this is an interesting approach, it's... While... You pick it up and place it in your purse. The snake shifts just a little, and you hear a click. You hear ominous chanting as you encounter a strange ceremony.
Oh my goodness! Excuse me, I was looking for the women's lounge?
You're coming with us, young lady.
I think you're making a mistake.
You've seen too much. We can't let you go.
Not to worry. I won't remember seeing this room, or you, or anything. Really. I've got a terrible memory. Can't even remember my own name half the time.
I'm sorry you found us. Our cult of Amon Ra must remain a secret. There is too much at stake here. Too many important people are involved.
Cult of Amon Ra? In the museum basement?
This room is a forgotten part of the original museum. We are safe here, as long as no outsiders are aware of our existence.
Oh well, my lips are sealed. If you want to dance and sing and have little meetings down here, that's your business.
You cannot be trusted, Miss Bow. You're a newspaper reporter. We could be a featured article on page 1 of tomorrow's newspaper if we let you go.
But people are going to miss me. They'll search the museum.
The police will never find this room or your body.
You don't really plan to kill me, do you?
Of course not.
What a relief.
Kill is such an ugly word. Actually, we're going to sacrifice you to Amon Ra.
Can we talk about this?
There is nothing to discuss. You should be proud to die in such an honorable fashion. Young Egyptian maidens used to fight for the privilege of being sacrificed to the great Amon Ra.
Now wait a minute. I thought the ancient Egyptians didn't make human sacrifices.
You're familiar with the history of ancient Egypt, Miss Bow?
Well, I've learned a few things.
Perhaps we could test you.
Do I have any other options?
We can test you or sacrifice you. It's your choice.
I'm liking this idea more and more. What kind of a test is it?
Amon Ra may choose to intervene on your behalf. It is our tradition that we must let you live if you can answer Amon Ra's riddle.
Great.
Of course, you'll have to answer the riddle with hieroglyphics.
I was afraid it would be something like that. Okay, what's the riddle?
Actually, it's a two-part riddle. What is the room you leave without entering? That's correct. Now, the second riddle. What is the room you enter without leaving? Very impressive. You are the first person who ever answered that riddle correctly. The wise Amon-Ra apparently wants us to spare your life. Will you swear to keep our location a secret?
Of course.
Then you may leave. May the great Amon-Ra guide your footsteps.
Thank you. Now I just have to outrun the person who's been chasing me.
Who is chasing you? Do you think they'll find their way in here?
I'm not sure who it is, but I believe it's the same person who stole the Dagger of Amon-Ra from its display case. And I'm sure they'll find their way in here.
If that is true, they will not leave this room alive. I suggest you leave through our secret escape route behind the altar. Go now, and remember your promise.
Upon close inspection you see that's not... Steve, being the large, unconscious type stevedore he is immovable in his current unconscious state, and he's got coal all over his body. While this is an... While this...
Oh, my head. What happened? Laura?
Yes, Steve. I was so worried about you. Are you all right?
I think so. I remember hearing somebody coming up behind me, and as I turned around, somebody slugged me. Cripes, my head hurts.
They must have dumped you down the coal chute. Let me see where you were hit.
I'm all right. Don't touch it.
Honestly, you men can be such crybabies. Do you think you can walk? We have to get out of here. Somebody's been murdering everybody in this museum, and whoever it is after me.
I can make it. I'm with you. Where do we go?
Good question.
You hear the sound of gunfire from the direction of the furnace room.
Sounds like someone's chasing us, Laura.
You watch in relief as the last of the rats scurries out of sight. You can barely smell an unpleasant odor, like burning hair. With a little more effort, you'll be the best investigative reporter Tulane ever graduated.
Thank you for coming to this inquest, Miss Bow. As the coroner on this case, I'm going to informally question you and study the evidence you've collected. If you assist me in developing a case, the perpetrators will be tried in the formal court of law. We're primarily concerned with the museum murders, but we're also interested in the theft of the Dagger of Amon-Ra and other matters that may have a bearing on this case. My examination of the corpses has been fruitful, but I need more evidence to build a case. Any information you can give us would help, but you must justify your conclusions with the evidence you've acquired. False accusations and unsupported conclusions will not be tolerated. Although I don't wish to pressure you, your employer is also here to judge your performance on this investigation. Since this is an informal proceeding, I've allowed it on the basis that your newspaper will cooperate with our wishes. Now, to the questions. Who murdered Dr. Pippin Carter? Who murdered Lawrence Ziggy Ziegfeld? Who murdered Ernie Leach? Who murdered Yvette Delacroix? Who murdered Countess Lavinia Waldorf Carleton? Who was the skeleton found in the steamer trunk? Who murdered Dr. Archibald Carrington? Who impersonated Dr. Archibald Carrington? Who murdered Watney Little? Who actually stole the Dagger of Amon-Ra from the Ancient Egypt exhibit? Who manipulated Watney Little into stealing the Dagger of Amon-Ra? Who was the woman involved in stealing paintings from the Old Masters Gallery? Based on what we now know, your assumption is correct, Miss Bow. Good work. Who was the man involved in stealing paintings from the Old Masters Gallery? Based on what we now know, your assumption is correct, Miss Bow. Good work. Who was the middleman who provided forged paintings for the Countess and sold the real ones for her? Based on what we now know, your assumption is correct, Miss Bow. Good work. Who is the high priest of the Amon-Ra sun worshippers? That's correct, Miss Bow. You're very observant. Which museum employee runs a fencing operation as a sideline business? That assumption is correct. Mr. Leach was moonlighting with his own business as a fence installer. In fact, he put up a very nice fence around my house.
I have one final piece of evidence to present, Mr. Coroner. I have an eyewitness who would only feel safe to come forth if I established my case against Mr. O'Reilly. Now that I've done so, let me introduce Dr. Patah Shep Tut Smith of the Cairo Museum.
Mr. Smith's testimony is safe with us.
Many thanks. I was in the Egyptian ceremonial room underneath the museum when Detective O'Reilly killed two of my fellow sun worshippers I saw with my own eyes how he gunned them down without mercy when they tried to stop him from chasing Miss Bow. However, we only managed to slow him down. His hood fell back briefly, revealing his evil face to us as he slaughtered our people. That son of a camel should not be allowed to run free upon the sands.
Will you testify in court to what you witnessed, Mr. Smith?
Happily, sir. My dead fellows expect their revenge, although Amon-Ra will certainly destroy O'Reilly's car when he journeys through the underworld.
I'm not qualified to give my opinion on Mr. O'Reilly's spirit in the next world, Mr. Smith, but I'm sure your testimony will help your dead friends sleep peacefully. Thank you for coming forth. I must admit that I'm impressed by your methods, Miss Bow. Not only have you identified the murderers of those unfortunate individuals, but you have also uncovered the skullduggery involving the Dagger of Amon-Ra. Our case is very strong now and prosecution can begin. The New York Police Department owes you a debt of gratitude for your assistance in apprehending these malefactors. I'm sure that a commendation of valor from the police department is in order. Thank you for your help.
It's all that lousy reporter's fault. Damned interfering Laura Bow. Thinks she can get away with squealing on me, does she? Well, she's got another thing coming. Do you hear me, Laura Bow? You'll pay for this. If it's the last thing I ever do!
Thank you for waiting, Laura.
I didn't mind, Steve.
Laura,
Yes?
would you mind... do you suppose... Laura, could you close your eyes? I have something for you.
Oh, I suppose so. Oh, Steve!
Do you like it?
Steve, how could you? How could you have stolen the dagger?
I didn't steal the dagger, Laura. I bought this copy for you at the museum gift shop. I thought you might like a memento of your big night at the Leyendecker Museum.
Oh, thank you, Steve. I'm so embarrassed.
You're beautiful when you blush. Laura,
Yes, Steve?
would you consider joining me for dinner this coming Saturday?
Well, I'm not sure if I don't know if I should really. Yes. Yes, I'd be delighted to join you for dinner.
Thank you, Laura. You've made me very happy.
Oh, Steve.
Oh, Laura.
Oh, Steve.
Since his skeleton was so nicely cleaned by the domestic beetles, Dr. Carrington's bones will soon be hanging on display in the Leyendecker Museum. Yvette Delacroix died plastered. Her remarkably lifelike statue now lives on in the Old Masters Gallery of the Leyendecker Museum. Her memory lives on in the minds of all she touched. Her sculpture is attributed to Ryan O'Reilly, 1926. Pleased by your success at finding his Dagger of Amon-Ra and his murderer, Dr. Pippin Carter now rests in peace. Pippin Carter's body was transported to Egypt by his cousin and now occupies a place of archaeological honor in the Temple of Amon-Ra in the Valley of the Kings. Due to your success at recovering the Dagger of Amon-Ra and finding the murderer, Wolf Heimlich continued as Chief of Security at the Leyendecker Museum. 2 months later, he was married to Dr. Olympia Miklos. 2 years after they were married, Wolf and Olympia had a child they named Morgana Wolf Heimlich. Having died in the course of this story, Watney Little's life of crime came to an abrupt end. As he was not a nice man, nobody missed him. Due to your success at recovering the Dagger of Amon-Ra and finding the murderer, Dr. Olympia Miklos married Wolf Heimlich, who continued as chief of security at the Leyendecker Museum. 2 years after they were married, Wolf and Olympia had a child they named Morgana Wolf Heimlich. As fond as he was of the Leyendecker, Ernie Leach noted in his will that he wanted his body donated to the museum. His body now resides in numerous small jars of alcohol, which will be placed on display in the new Hall of Internal Biology, adjacent to the Hall of Late Mammals. Dr. Patasheptut Tut Smith finally gave up on getting the Dagger of Amon-Ra returned to Egypt. However, once it completed its US and European museum tours, it was returned to the Cairo Museum anyway. So, several years later, Tut died a happy man, even though his death was the result of an Egyptian cobra bite. After losing his head in the museum, Ziggy found himself unable to continue his criminal career. His head has been preserved and is now on display in the life mask exhibit at the Leyendecker Museum. Ramses Najir continued his successful career as an accountant and as head of the secret Egyptian cult of Amon-Ra. With his strong high society ties, his accounting business made Ramses a millionaire in 15 years. Having died from a snake bite, the Countess Lavinia Waldorf Carlton did not live long enough to inherit any money from her last husband, Sterling. Thoroughly impressed by your success as a reporter, your editor, Sam Augustini, nominated you for a Pulitzer Prize and was present when you received your Citation of Valor from the police department. Sam retired 10 years later to become a gentleman cabbage farmer, fulfilling a secret lifelong dream. Pleased at your success, Crodfoller T. Rhubarb was happy to become your assistant at the New York Daily Register News Tribune. Henri Lamour, the coroner, continued his successful career studying dead bodies for the next 50 years, finally retiring in 1976 to tour with a rock band, the Ungrateful Dead. Low Fat continued in the laundry business, eventually opening a chain of low-fat Chinese laundries across the country and becoming a millionaire in the process. Former Detective Ryan Hanrahan O'Reilly was sentenced to 60 years in a state penitentiary. Having been a cop, O'Reilly found it hard to make friends in prison. After your successful completion of the museum assignment, you started dating Steve Dorian. Thrilled with your success, John Bowe spent the rest of his life telling people what a wonderful daughter you were and how he had taught you everything you knew about criminology. After your recovery of the Dagger of Amon-Ra, it went back on display at the Leyendecker Museum. The large amount of press coverage drew many patrons to the museum to see the dagger. After 2 years on display at the Leyendecker, the Dagger exhibit continued on a tour of museums in the United States, Europe, and finally found its way back to the Cairo Museum in Egypt.